Did you know that Carlos Alcaraz is not the only talent in his family aiming for the top of the tennis world? His younger brother, Jaime Alcaraz, at just 14 years old, is already making his mark on the court and capturing the attention of the sports world with his character and determination. While Carlos continues to dazzle in major tournaments, Jaime is quickly forging his own path. What is the secret behind this promising career, and what role does Carlos play as the older brother? Let's explore the true relationship between these two tennis-playing brothers. Jaime Alcaraz, born into a family where tennis is part of the DNA, is already proving that he is not just Carlos' little brother. At just 14, he has managed to become European champion with the Spanish national team, a feat that reflects not only talent but also discipline and promise. This victory over Slovakia was no stroke of luck but the result of countless hours of training, a demanding routine, and a strong mindset from an early age, similar to what Carlos showed when he first rose to international prominence. Despite his youth, Jaime is already clear that his biggest role model is his older brother. In a recent interview with Cadena Ser, he said without hesitation, "I hope to be like him or even better." This kind of statement not only demonstrates admiration but also an inner confidence that is vital in any elite athlete. Aspiring to surpass Carlos is not arrogance, it is an ambitious goal that drives him to give his best in every training session and competition. What's interesting about Jaime is that, although he lives under the media shadow of a Grand Slam champion, he leads a completely normal life. He himself emphasizes that his daily routine includes a lot of training, but also time with friends and family. This sense of normality seems to be part of the balance that helps him move forward without being overwhelmed by pressure. The Alcaraz family is clear that success should never lead anyone away from humility and simplicity. As for his on-court personality, Jaime describes himself as a fighter with a lot of character. These words remind us of the young Carlos in his early tournaments, fighting for every point with energy and passion. It's not just about technique, but attitude. Before matches, Jaime follows a clear routine, a good warm-up, focused mindset, and studying his opponent. Even now, he's showing signs of being a professional in the making. One of the most striking revelations from the interview was about the advice he receives from Carlos. Although he said his brother doesn't give him many tips, he highlighted one that has become almost a family motto: the 3 C's. This piece of advice sums up what the Alcaraz family considers essential for success in tennis: head, heart, and balls. 3 simple elements, but tremendously powerful when applied with conviction to every point. The head represents mental control and intelligence on the court, the heart, the passion and love for what you do, and the balls, the courage to face any adversity. This philosophy, shared between the brothers, has become Jaime's emotional and psychological engine, helping him face challenges and grow with a winning mindset that isn't taught but lived and passed down at home. Jaime is also building his own identity as a tennis player. Unlike many young athletes who constantly compare themselves to their older siblings, he uses that figure as motivation. Carlos, although not a constant advisor, has planted a seed of ambition and grit that is now blossoming in Jaime. The young player seems to have his feet firmly on the ground, which is essential in such a competitive environment as professional tennis. The maturity he shows in how he speaks and acts indicates he has a solid foundation, both emotionally and athletically. Moreover, his development has been remarkable. In a short time, Jaime has gone from being a promising youngster to becoming a real presence in Spanish youth tennis. He was recently a finalist in the Spanish National Championship, and each tournament brings him new experiences that he absorbs quickly. As he himself said, "I'm progressing faster than I expected." This statement is important because it shows that even his own expectations are being exceeded by his current level of play. But it's not just about results. Jaime is learning to cope with the pressure of carrying the Alcaraz name. He knows that every time he steps onto a court, there are eyes watching, expecting to see another Carlos. However, instead of being intimidated, he turns that pressure into motivation. This ability to adapt to media attention is something few young players handle well, and Jaime is managing it with a maturity that surprises even coaches and tennis experts. Family undoubtedly plays a key role in this process. The Alcaraz family has shown that beyond talent, the most important thing is the environment. A home that offers support, emotional stability, and values is the best foundation for building a sports career. Both Carlos and Jaime reflect that upbringing, that close-knit family bond that, even with fame, remains their refuge and starting point for everything they do. In this context, the 3 C's not only function as advice for the court but as a life guide. At every stage of his career, Jaime seems to apply this family principle that helps him stay focused and motivated. While many focus on winning titles or reaching rankings, he understands that the path to success begins with a good head, a determined heart, and the courage to face any challenge. With his character, focus, and determination, Jaime Alcaraz is no longer simply Carlos' brother. He is emerging as a young talent with his own identity, clear goals, and a personal philosophy that, while inspired by his brother, is being built step by step through his own effort. If he stays on this path, he might not only match Carlos' achievements, but even surpass them. What does it feel like to see your pupil fall in one of the most anticipated matches of the year? Juan Carlos Ferrero, coach of Carlos Alcaraz, experienced it firsthand after his players lost to Jannik Sinner. But instead of sinking into disappointment, his analysis was deep, balanced, and full of lessons. More than just a defeat, Ferrero saw this match as an opportunity to grow. What did he really say about the encounter? And what does this mean for Alcaraz's future? Let's find out together. After Carlos Alcaraz's loss to Jannik Sinner, Juan Carlos Ferrero didn't hesitate to acknowledge the merit of the opponent. He said Sinner played with incredible consistency, dominated the pace of the match, and executed a flawless strategy. From his perspective, the Italian took advantage of every moment of doubt from the Spaniard, forcing him to play catch-up. Ferrero emphasized that it wasn't a bad match from Alcaraz but an excellent one from his opponent. That clarity in analyzing the outcome reflects the maturity of the coach and the team. One of the key points Ferrero mentioned was Carlos' struggle to impose his style of play. In this match, unlike others, the Mercian couldn't play with the freedom or aggressiveness that usually defines him. Sinner pressured him from the first set, which caused Carlos to fall into an unusually defensive dynamic. Ferrero admitted they failed to adjust the tactics in time and, although they tried to change the pace at key moments, control of the match always remained with the Italian. The mental aspect was also addressed by Ferrero. He acknowledged that while Carlos is mentally strong, he is still learning to manage matches when things don't go his way. He said that in these kinds of matches, frustration can work against you, and part of the growth process is learning to channel that energy positively. For him, this experience will serve as a reminder that at the highest level, the difference between winning and losing is minimal, and every mistake is costly. Ferrero also spoke about the learning that comes from this defeat. He pointed out that matches like this help clearly identify what needs to be worked on in training. It's not just about improving specific shots but building a more flexible strategy that can adapt to opponents who, like Sinner, dictate the pace from the baseline. Alcaraz needs to keep evolving and reading the game, and his coach is convinced that these kinds of challenges will make him more complete. Despite the result, Ferrero made it clear there's no reason to be discouraged. Alcaraz remains one of the most dangerous players on the circuit, and this defeat doesn't change the fact that he is constantly improving. The coach recalled that all the greats have had tough moments, and what matters is how you respond to them. Carlos, he said, has the right attitude and the desire to improve, which is essential to staying among the best in the world. Finally, Ferrero wanted to highlight the sportsmanship between the two players. He said the relationship between Carlos and Sinner is one of mutual respect and that these kinds of healthy rivalries are good for tennis. He acknowledged that losing hurts, but it also inspires. And he assured that if there's one thing that defines Carlos, it's his ability to come back stronger every time he falls. This match was not the end of anything, it was the beginning of a new phase of improvement. In his analysis, Ferrero emphasized that one of the most important factors was Sinner's ability to maintain impressive consistency in his shots. While Carlos made occasional errors, the Italian remained solid throughout the match. Ferrero noted that this level of precision only comes with a lot of confidence and experience, and Carlos will need to keep working to reach that same level of consistency, especially in high-stakes matches. That stability is what allows a player to dominate, even without taking too many risks. Another aspect Ferrero highlighted was the importance of starting strong. In this match, Carlos began a bit slowly, allowing Sinner to take control from the start. Ferrero explained that in these types of matches, coming out with intensity is key to not having to play catch-up. He admitted that the focus in the opening games wasn't ideal and that's something they need to fix. At the elite level, every point counts, and starting on the right foot can make the difference in the final result. Regarding the tactical plan, Ferrero was honest in saying they couldn't execute it as intended. Although they had prepared a strategy to neutralize Sinner's serve and forehand, the execution wasn't effective. Carlos couldn't find a way to break the Italians' rhythm, and that prevented them from creating openings to do damage. Ferrero made it clear that it wasn't a lack of preparation but that Sinner successfully prevented their game plan from unfolding. That ability to impose his game was, according to him, one of the match's key factors. He was also self-critical regarding the coaching team. He said that in moments like this, it's essential to evaluate what could be improved from the bench. He admitted that, as a coach, his role is to help Carlos adapt during the match and that perhaps there was a lack of clarity in some of the guidance. Ferrero didn't shy away from responsibility and stated that they also learn from every loss. That humility in accepting mistakes is part of the team's DNA and allows them to grow together after every setback. As for the physical side, Ferrero assured that Carlos was fine, with no discomfort. Therefore, the result cannot be attributed to physical issues. It was more a matter of gameplay and rhythm. Sinner didn't give any breathing room, never let up, and that pushed Carlos to the limit. But Ferrero insisted that these losses help strengthen both body and mind. Instead of viewing them as failures, his philosophy is to turn them into fuel for future tournaments. To conclude his reflection, Ferrero appeared optimistic and grateful. Grateful to the fans for their constant support, and optimistic because he knows Carlos is on the right path. He said the most important thing is for his player to maintain the same excitement, the desire to learn, and to be better every day. Losses, he said, hurt, but they also build. And if there's one thing he's certain of, it's that Carlos will be back. And he'll come back stronger. Carlos Alcaraz's loss to Jannik Sinner was tough, but also necessary. With the clarity of an experienced coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero understood that this match didn't just mark a result but a turning point for further improvement. Recognizing mistakes, valuing the opponent, and finding new solutions is part of every champion's journey. Far from dramatizing, Ferrero turned this defeat into a valuable lesson. Because in tennis, as in life, sometimes you win, and other times you learn. And Carlos, with his mindset and the backing of his team, is more than ready for what's next.